welcome to the Creation to Cashflow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. Michelle, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm happy to be alive. How are you coming back to your hometown? You were just in a luxury place, I feel like, at least super beautiful.
Yes, I was in Puerto Rico for the week and it was absolutely amazing. I played golf at like the coolest golf course I've ever been to with mountain views and it opens up on the beach. I went swimming in El Yunque, which is their national rainforest. I literally swam in it with giant fish and spiders that were big enough to eat my dog.
Oh,
Like such cool stuff. I was like crawling around there barefoot, like went to the castles at Old San Juan. I'm climbing up things that you're not supposed to climb. I did a lot of climbing, let's just say. And it was just amazing. I feel so refreshed and well rested. Boy, am I doing well though. And I'm so excited to talk today about sales psychology, like sales tricks, sales tips, the science of sales, things that you say that get people to want to work with you and buy your stuff. Sales is literally the machine that drives your business forward. Sales is like the engine of the car. Sure, you're not going, like, there are other important parts of the car. Like, you need a steering wheel to be able to operate your car, but you don't need a steering wheel if the car is not moving. So, sales is like the engine that moves everything forward. So, with that said, today's podcast is going to be all about that. There's so many little tips and tricks. I am going to try and keep this shorter than 10 hours, but that's seriously how long I feel like I could go on this topic. So, Michelle, do you want to start us off? Do you have anything specific you want to say about sales?
I just think that it all boils down to confidence and how you come across. And the way that you come across will either show the person on the receiving end that you're confident and they should invest in you, or that maybe you're not the best fit. And so I really want to dive into that confidence portion because there's like words and specific verbiage that we both use that make us, come across as we are, which is confident. And so I really love that confidence is going to be a theme throughout this entire podcast episode.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And if you're watching this or listening to this and you're thinking, but I don't have any confidence, I'm just getting started, that confidence will come from your testimonials. And even if you are your first testimonial, like when I was 22 and decided I wanted to be a life coach and I had never like technically been paid to help anyone with anything regarding their life, I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of confidence going into this. But once I created my first product and I gave it to friends and family to test for free and they gave me testimonials, suddenly I had a newfound sense of confidence. I was like, "Wait, I've got this thing that other people have said has helped them." And now when I'm talking to prospects, I'm coming across confidently as like, "Look, I've worked with people that have been in your situation. I know this is going to help you. I'm 100% confident. To be honest, I wouldn't even offer it to you if I didn't think it would help because you're going to be a nightmare client." I do this a lot. I do all my own sales calls and stuff. And even just like the way I phrased that, like it made you feel like you should buy it because you're like, oh man, like he doesn't even offer it to everyone, like he's not just trying to get a sale out of me. Like, and that confidence comes across in the way that you speak. And I mean, boy, have I gotten a ton of reps in on sales calls. Like, I was not good at first, but with reps and practice, you start to figure out like the right things to say. And by listening to this podcast and our other podcasts where we talk about like nurturing your leads and negotiation skills, you are building all of the information much faster than just getting in 10,000 reps.
Yeah. And you're probably going to be talking a lot on this episode because you are so good at this. Like, you are so good at even looking at what somebody's saying in an email and being like, I would reword it to this because this is going to be a lot better on the receiving end.
I do feel like that's one of my strong suits. And in business, you've got to play to your strong suits. And you've got to also honestly analyze, like, what am I not so good at that I need to get better at? I wasn't born good at sales, but I spent a ton of time and energy learning from people that were good at sales and reading books and spending time on YouTube. Um, and a really good place to start is there's two specific things that will increase your sales a ton. One of them is scarcity.
Yep.
If not everyone gets your offer, kind of like I just mentioned in that last example where I was like, look, I wouldn't even offer this to you if you weren't going to be a perfect fit because you'd be a nightmare client. Suddenly, I've created this sense of scarcity where it's like, look, this isn't for everyone, but it is for you. And another thing I do is I work in cohorts usually. Like currently, I can send out, honestly, this isn't like a lie. It's not like a sales deceptive tactic. It's an honest tactic. I will create scarcity by working in cohorts and telling people like, "Hey, look, 13 of my 15 available spots have already been taken by people just like you. So, if you want this, you're going to have to act today or else those spots are going to be gone." And now I've created scarcity and urgency around my offer. There's not many left, and you have to do it now. And sometimes that's what people need to make the emotional decision that is purchasing something. And it will feel weird and wrong at first, but if you know that you can help that person, you're going to have to do those things to get them to pull out the credit card and get them across the line. And after that, now it's on you to truly, like in good faith, help that person. You can't use this deceptively and with bad morals. It's really important that you do these things honestly and you make offers to people that you know you can help.
Yeah, and that's something I needed to hear because I know that my products and my course help so many people, but I always have a fear of I don't want to come across as salesy, but I do know that sometimes those testimonials and certain things that we do are what's going to help them. Like when I invested in Brands Meet Creators, it was kind of like, oh, the sale ends at the end of the day. There was two spots, one just got taken, and I was like, I'm in. It wasn't even a sale. It was just that I got time with Mike. And so it was like, I'm in. Like I was in immediately. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me because immediately I learned everything I needed to know. I got connected with you and so many amazing creators and entrepreneurs. And it was like, I'm grateful for that because it was such a huge return on my investment. And I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have that happening in the back of my head. Like, no, I need to invest in this. This is worth it.
Exactly. So well said. It's just about like using these tactics to get the right people across the line because you know you have the right solution to their problems. If you're using them, if you're using them like deceptive, like if I'm just lying and I'm like, oh, 13 of my 15 available spots have already been taken, even though I've never sold anything, like don't do that. That will always come back to bite you. Your clients will find out it's not right for so many reasons, and you need good karma in business. You really do.
Agreed. We say this on like almost every podcast, but please do things with good morals and good intentions because you reap what you sow. So, sow good seeds of good, truthful, honest things and not deception and lies and just trying to get a buck. That's not
Yes.
what we're here for.
Yes, but what we do fully support are things that create urgency, like a fast action discount is a great one. I always offer that to people on my sales calls. I'm like, look, if you sign up right now, I'll give you 10% off. Simple. And that's you that alone is enough to get a lot of people to be like, well, it's something I want. Why do I have to sleep on it and then pay a bunch more money for the thing I want? And they'll just be like, all right, whatever. And they'll let out a big sigh and they'll sometimes say to me, they're like, you're really good at sales. I've had people say that to me on sales calls. Um, and that's a good sign, by the way, because I teach people to build their businesses. So if I'm coming across as being really good at sales, they know they're going to be in good hands and they're going to learn those skills too.
Yeah, it's true. I have a question. So I know that right now we're talking a lot about if you have a product or maybe a service and you're selling something, but what about if you're selling your content? Like, what if this is geared towards content creators? What do you think about that tactic? Because you can offer brands like, yes, I will give this to you at a discount this one time, or yes, I'm doing a discounted package through the end of the month or the end of the week. But what is your experience and expertise with content creators in UGC?
Great question. So, I think the first important thing to differentiate is calls versus emails. Selling on a call when you're face to face with someone, although it's harder at first, it becomes 10 times easier. Selling over email can be a little bit tougher because your words have to be perfect. But on a call, if someone could see your smile and that you're truly convicted that you can help them and that you're excited about potentially working with them, it's much easier. But there's a formula that I did not create that I follow when it comes to sales and making offers. And that formula, it was created by Alex Hormozy. Highly recommend following him. He is so good at business, so much better than me. And in all of my many businesses, I have always had an offer that checks all of these four boxes. Your offer, and I will even give mine after, your offer should check the box of your client's dream outcome, their perceived likelihood of success, time delay, and how much effort and sacrifice they're going to require. And if you can speak in a way that checks all four of those boxes, and your prospect doesn't have to ask a million follow up questions of like, oh, well, how long is it going to take? Like, oh, well, what do I have to do every day? You're already in good shape. So here's my offer when it comes to my startup society, where I teach people to build their businesses. Join my startup society and build a business that makes $2,500 in 90 days. You'll be part of a community where you can do all of the troubleshooting and be held accountable to reach your goals. And if you don't make $2,500 in 90 days, you get to stay and work with my team and I until you do. It checks all of the boxes. The dream outcome, make $2,500 from your new business. Time delay, it happens in 90 days. Effort and sacrifice required, it's not going to be too much because I mentioned that you get a community, troubleshooting, and accountability. And then the last one, perceived likelihood of success, it's going to work for you because I mentioned that you can stay as long as it takes. When I offer that to people, it's usually not that hard of a sell. They just have to decide, do they actually want to start a business? And do they have a little bit of money to invest in this? So being able to make an offer like that like your prospect lets out that sigh and they're like, whew, yeah, that sounds pretty good. That's right up my alley. The right people will join me. I don't even have to be too salesy or force people. And then at the end of that, and I'm like, look, I'll even give you 10% off if you sign up right now because I've only got 2 spots left out of the 15. And then that's it. Game over. They're pulling out the credit card most of the time.
That is powerful. I need to like write all that down and listen again and like make it work for each one of the things that I offer people. That's awesome. So, how do you say that in an email or to brands?
Great question. So when it comes to an email, you're still going to want to try and check those boxes, and it becomes a little bit harder when you're trying to work with a brand because it's hard to guarantee things, right? Like the perceived likelihood of success is tough because you don't want to promise something you like. I could promise people that they'll make $2,500 from their business because I know that's not that much money. I could get you to that in 90 days. I'm 100% sure. And if I got to give you a 30-day extension, I'm like, that's fine. I know I can do that. But if you want to tell a brand, like, I can guarantee you 10,000 views, that's going to be tough. You don't want to make a guarantee like that you can't keep. But you can increase the perceived likelihood of success by talking about other social proof. 10 of my last 30 videos got over 100,000 views. I have 50,000 followers. I've worked with 10 brands in the last month, and 6 of them ended up signing a long term contract with me. Anything you can do to provide that social proof that increases the perceived likelihood of success, where a brand isn't going to look at you and be like, I don't really get a good feeling about working with you. Like, you don't have any really social proof or anything to prove that you've done this. you're going to have to get pretty creative. If you've got a marketing degree, that's a big help. If you used to be a marketing specialist at McDonald's and you ran their Twitter once, like anything you can do to build the perceived likelihood of success. And then when it comes to time delay, tell them you'll have your content back to them in 7 days. When it comes to effort and sacrifice required, tell them that you'll do a full reshoot, one full reshoot if they need. When it comes to the dream outcome, explain to them that maybe you're trying to get them to in front of your audience. Maybe the dream outcome is phrasing to them like, hey, I've got 50,000 followers that all decided to follow me because of my fast food recommendations. So I also used to work at McDonald's as a marketing specialist. So maybe you're talking to Burger King and you're like, look, I've been doing this. This would be super easy to get in front of my audience. I could get you a really strong amount of views based on my last 10 videos, if that trend continues, and I'll have it back to you in 7 days.
Wow. That is okay. So that reminds me of when we tell people adding something very unique about them on their portfolio. Like some people don't have any marketing background, but maybe they have a chemistry degree. Say they want to work with skincare brands, bringing that up and being like, I understand what ingredients are in your products. I know how to pronounce. Oh my God. I know how to pronounce your ingredients. Like this is something that I'm aware of and I'm passionate about. Like, even if it's not marketing, anything that is specific to you. If you've worked with youth in the past, if you're like whatever the brand is, anything you have related to that in experience, that is so powerful to add in. That goes hand in hand with exactly what you're saying.
It works really well in your actual social media content too. Maybe you're going to make the video and you're like, um, we'll stick with that same example. Like you have a chemistry degree and you're working with a skincare brand. If you start your video and you're like, hey, I've been a chemist for the last 8 years and I just tested 10 skincare brands to see which one does the least damage to your skin, check out the results. That's a really good hook because not only does it invoke a ton of curiosity, but the perceived likelihood of success, meaning in the viewer's eyes, like the likelihood that they're going to get some quality information is very high. A lot of viral videos start off with someone announcing who they are. Some of my best like ads and sales pitches and organic content where I'm trying to get some new clients, I start off my video with something to the tune of like, here's how I replaced my $70,000 per year civil engineering income with just a 20-hour per week side hustle. That checks all of the boxes. I replaced, I mean, the dream outcome is I'm making more than 70K per year. Perceived likelihood of success, well, I'm talking to you about how I did it, which means you've got a decent chance of being able to do it because I'm going to explain it. My time delay, I don't know, maybe I mentioned like I quit my job in 11 months and the effort and sacrifice required, I mentioned in a 20-hour per week job. So this is like a really important psychological point. Shout out to Alex Hormozy for creating this because I've taken tons of sales courses and stuff that have their own sales formulas. I've tried a ton of these, but this one works the best. And even that, the way I talk, I just realized I just did it again. Like perceived likelihood of success in that sentence, I was like, look, I've tried all the other sales formulas and this one works the best and it's the easiest. Like I speak in this way almost always, and this is why people believe things I say, also because they're true. But
Yes. You follow through. You're not just like saying this and pulling it out of
right.
your butt.
So now, Michelle, I would love to hear. I know you've got like some samples. Like when it comes to an email and phrasing things, I would love to hear your take on this because when it comes to stuff like this, there are lots of ways you can do things and phrase things, and you don't even need to use this formula as long as you understand the general points that we're making and the importance of social proof and stuff. But let me kick it over to you.
Yeah, I think that just like you said, you naturally talk this way. I naturally email this way. So it's been a lot for me to try to break down what is it that I'm saying. And a lot of what I've learned of why I get so many sales or brand deals is because of this terminology. And I'm learning from you and I looking at other emails from other people and being like, oh, you should rephrase it to this. So I know there are like specific guidelines that you and I both follow. The first one, I'll start with the end of the email because this to me is the most important, is ending the email with something that is not as open ended as hope to hear from you or something like that. I love ending with a question like, when would be a good time for us to get together to talk about this in a Zoom call? Or something like they have to respond. It's not like a hope that you're throwing out there. It's not something that's just kind of like passive. You're like, let me know who the right person is to contact about this. Or are you the person I should be speaking with this about? Something where it's like they have to respond to that. It's not a yes or no. It's like, give me more. Do you know what I'm saying? Can you describe what I'm trying to explain a little bit more?
Absolutely. Like the worst way to end an email is that I see all the time is let me know your thoughts.
Mm-mm.
That is a homework assignment for whoever you're talking to. And everybody hates homework. When it comes to, she got so excited. I love that because I say this to Michelle all the time when we're working with other people. When it comes to these conversations in email, you're not going to get a response if you're giving someone homework assignments. If you send this long, drawn out email with a ton of stuff, like too much stuff, and then let me know your thoughts, you're giving them homework. They have to go through a ton of stuff and like draft up this big fat response. Don't give people homework. Send them the answers to the homework. Like, don't ask them questions that you already know that they're going to end up asking you. Just tell them the answers to the things that they probably want to know.
Yeah. Oh, you take so much weight off of them, so much responsibility off of them, and people want to work with people that make their lives easier.
Yeah, if all you do is send these long, drawn out emails that they have to focus and put a ton of effort in responding to, like, you're not going to get a ton of responses. Your open and response rate will be so much higher if you are straightforward, to the point, can address the things that you know they're going to ask. Like, if you know they're going to ask your rates, even if you don't want to give out a number yet for your product, service, your content, whatever, you could just tell them that I'm super affordable and flexible on the rates, and boom, that's covered because you know it's going to be on their mind. And when they're wondering, like, so how long would it take for you to get this back to us? If you cover that in that first email and you're like, I always do a 7 day turnaround, as many things as you can cover that make their life easier without drawing it out too long, you will win. You will get responses from people.
Yeah. So it's really about not only making their lives easier, but also don't make it hard for them to figure out what value you bring to the table. Make it very straightforward. Like be very specific with exactly what you're going to do and make it concise. It doesn't need to be this long email. Nobody likes to read long emails, especially when you don't have a relationship with the brand yet. You don't even know if they want to work with you. Be straightforward and end that email with who would be the best point of contact to discuss these next steps, or when would be a convenient time to discuss this even further. Nothing where it's kind of like, oh, I would be so honored and appreciate it, I hope that we can work together. It just, you don't, you're sounding kind of desperate. I don't want to say that in a negative way, but desperation isn't cute. I don't think cute's the right word. It's not something necessarily that drives business and drives sales.
Yes, well said. Well said. Desperation does not make people pull out the credit card. It absolutely does not. Scarcity and urgency does. If you can come across as busy and like, it's this weird backwards thing because you don't want to come across too like, oh, I don't need this. Like, I'm too good for you. But you want to come across as this is not my only priority in life. Like closing you is not my only priority in life. Because you have to understand, like when it comes to sales, your close rate will never be 100%. And in most industries, you'll probably never even touch 50%. That's just the way it is. It is a numbers game and it is a game of having conversations. And if you can be really good at having these conversations, checking boxes in people's minds and addressing like hesitancies and objections before they even come up, the conversations happen quicker, they get where they need to go faster, and you're less likely to lose that lead.
So true. I can't even begin to tell you how many people have come to me with how they never got a response. but a lot of their verbiage is passive instead of assertive. And I think that there are specific words, and maybe you know of some of these words, but there's words like just, Just. Just is such a passive word. Just wanted to hear your thoughts and just wanted to run this by you and see what you thought. Like those words are so not assertive, and being assertive and, like you said, removing any questions they're going to ask. Like, hi, I'm a content creator. I've loved following your account for over a year. I love your style. I am able to do 3 more brand deals for this month, and I would love for you to be one of them. My turnaround time is 7 days from whenever I receive the product, and you can expect 3 short form videos that will be up to 45 seconds long. Are you the right person that I can discuss this with further? Boom. Right then and there, it's just like, I would hire me immediately.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Um, and there's a couple other tricks too on this front. You just reminded me of one, because you mentioned kind of like or at least it led me to think about like follow up calls and continuing those conversations. Here's one that I do. Sometimes when you're on the call with a prospect, whether it's a brand or someone who might buy your product or might buy your service, sometimes there has to be a follow up call. You will lose so many people in the transition of like, oh, our first call was good. They sounded really confident. I can't wait for the second. And they never book a second and they never answer you again. That will happen all of the time. And of course, I have a trick that will combat this. It works so well and it's so honest and transparent and upfront that people love it. If I know, like, let's say I'm on a 30-minute sales call, I usually leave a 10-minute gap after. Maybe we're 8 minutes over, and I know I've got another call or something starting soon. Maybe I got a tea time and I got to get going because that's a little more realistic. Here's what I will say. Is there any hesitation in your mind that would keep you from showing up to our follow up call? It's very direct and confident because and then I'll tell them, I'll be like, because if you don't want the follow up call, I don't want it either. So tell me what's rattling through your mind that's going to keep you from getting on the phone with me again. And they'll tell me. I've closed people on the first call while talking about why they wouldn't come to the second call. Because then they'll be like, well, honestly, like, it's just the money thing for me. Like $400 a month is going to be a lot for me. And I'm like, look, I don't want you to stress about that. I don't want you to have to live under a bridge and rob old ladies for money and be eaten out of soup cans, right? The goal is for me to help you make more money. And then they have a little laugh. I actually say that all the time, like the robbing old ladies thing. They have a little laugh, it breaks the tension. And then I'll tell them, look, do you have a car? They'll be like, yeah, of course, I got a car, I drive. And I'll be like, okay, so when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, in order to afford some of the courses that helped skyrocket my earning capacity, I would Instacart. And this is the truth. I would Instacart. I would go do people's grocery shopping in my own car. I would just do like 3 8-hour days of doing that and make like three, four, $500. And I'll tell people and I'll be like, look, if you really want this, I've got 2 spots left. I've got another sales call later, and one of them might go. You're gonna have to make a decision. Do you want this bad enough that you'd get in your car and DoorDash or Uber Eats or Instacart a little bit? Because if the answer is yes, we got to lock this in now. We don't need a follow up call.
That is so powerful, and I forget how easy it is if you just think outside the box to get a little bit of extra income. Like if you have a car, Instacart, I forget that that is a way that people can earn extra money. And so I really think that a lot of it comes down to people also not believing in themselves enough that, will I actually be able to do this? I don't doubt that your program is great, it works for others, but am I capable of doing this? What do you tell people? I'm just so curious what you tell people if that's their hesitation.
Great question. So it depends what I'm offering them, but let's say I'm offering them admission to my startup society. I will tell them and I will be like, look, I don't make this offer to everyone. I'm promising you that you will make $2,500 from your new side hustle. And if you don't, I'm going to have to work with you until I die. I wouldn't make an offer to someone that I don't think could do that. I don't like you paying me like whatever I'm charging at the time is not going to be worth me working with you for 3 years because you can't do this. I'm making this offer to you because I know you can do it and I know I can get you there in 90 days, and I don't say that to everyone. And then suddenly these people believe in themselves again because they're like, I guess he will teach me the skills that I'm missing. And then if money's an issue, I described exactly what I do and what I say. If time is their issue, that's an easy workaround. I could just tell them like, okay, pull out your phone. Let's see your screen time. If you got no time, let's see how much time you sit on your phone scrolling on Instagram. And they will not pull it out because they know that they do have time. And I'm like, oh, look, all of these like made up beliefs in your mind are just that. They're just made up beliefs. Today is the day. If you want something new out of your life, you're going to have to do something new in your life. And then I'll say, look, I've got another call coming up soon. So if you want to jump on this right now, I'll give you 10% off. And if you don't, let's just end it here. And they'll be like, wait, I just have like one or two more questions. And I'm like, okay, now they're going to bring up the last thing that they're hesitant about, their last fear. And they're like, but like, I have kids and I can't make your Tuesday night calls. And I'll be like, look, they're all recorded. Okay. I don't expect you to have to make every call. And they'll bring up their last hesitancy and I'll put it to rest. And they're like, they might be nervous and scared, and that's okay. I want them to feel nervous and scared. When you're on a sales call, you better be in charge. You better be calling the shots and you better make them nervous. If you're the nervous one, they're not buying anything from you.
It's true. And I think the same goes for content that you're creating for brands. It's like you're the expert. You are the one that they are hiring to create content or give strategy or whatever it is. And so it's like channeling that nervousness and changing it to excitement because they're the same emotions. It's just, it really puts you in the position to where you're trusted to be hired for this position or this campaign or whatever it is.
It's true. All of this comes back to confidence. And again, remember, you're not going to be born with that confidence. You're going to suck a little bit at first, and that's fine. Like I feel like I know so many sales tricks, and I could get anyone to buy anything, but it used to be far from that. I used to get on calls with people a couple times per week trying to sell them something for $50 and I couldn't close them. Like that used to be the reality of my life not that long ago. But I kept practicing and I kept learning and I invested in courses and mentorships myself. I bought access to people, kind of like we talked about last week. When it comes to networking, like you can buy access to people that have the solutions to your problems. You could also just read their books. You could also just listen to their podcasts. Like the solutions to your problems are out there.
Agreed. I have one more thing because I know you and I are such an advocate for this. Between emails or sales calls, Loom videos are so powerful. Can you explain why?
Great question. I was hoping it was going to be about ocean conservation because we both love that too.
I love that
Um,
too.
yeah, we love that. Um, Loom videos, oh, they are so good for getting people to get on a call with you, for bridging the gap from email to call. Because I could send a Loom video, which might be me sitting here at my laptop, and you could see me, you can see my face, you can see my background, you can see what it would be like to be on a call with me and feel my energy and my smile and my conviction and my confidence. So, recording a quick 2, maybe 3 minute Loom video breaking down how you would solve someone's problems, right? The solutions that you have, the experience you have, especially if you could cover all those four things: the dream outcome, the perceived likelihood of success, the time delay, the effort and sacrifice required, and use that to bridge the gap and get them on a call. Explain a little bit about your credibility. Explain how you've worked with someone similar. Explain how you know the lesson that you're trying to teach them in this Loom video. And then at the end, just be like, look, if you want to talk a little bit more about this, I'll drop a link to my calendar. We can just grab 15 minutes. It works really well because they won't get to feel like, what is it like to be on a call with him? Oh, well, if in those 3 minutes I got that much value, imagine if I could ask him stuff specific to me. And those Loom videos, Loom is $10 per month, by the way, probably the best investment you'll ever make. It's free at first, but eventually they get you for the 10 per month because you'll see results. But you get to see if someone watches your Loom video. You get to see if someone watched your video and didn't book a call. And then you know to cater your follow up to be like, hey, look, I saw you checked out that Loom video. Like, Maybe I scared you off with the link to the call. Like, just know there's absolutely no pressure. Here, I'm going to send you my free guide on XYZ. And now, boom, you've earned their trust back. Or maybe they didn't ever open the video and you know to follow up and be like, hey, just wanted to remind you, I literally sent you a 3-minute personalized video with the solutions to your problems. All you got to do is click that link and watch it. So you can cater all of your follow ups on Loom to get people onto a call. And then from the call, pitch them your service, make them that offer, create urgency, create scarcity, make it clear to them that you can solve their problems.
It's good. And I think it's a great way to practice too. Doing these Loom videos, it gets you more comfortable in front of the camera and talking about what you do, because it's like not something that we just do on the regular if we're just starting, especially if it's something brand new. So being in those things and being in courses that have community where you can have Q&As like we do, where we're like talking face to face with people, just like practicing, is it really makes you more confident too. But we all start afraid and like a little anxious about it. And I think that should be normalized.
It's true. My first Loom video was so bad. I wonder if I could go back and find it. But eventually, after you do 10 looms, after you've sent 25, after you've done 50, you get really good at them and you get really comfortable talking on the camera and helping people through them and realizing, like, I sent 6 looms and no one booked a call. Like, maybe I'm coming on a little too strong. Maybe I'm not providing enough value. Maybe I need more credibility before I could be sending these, and starting to figure out, like, what's the missing piece here. And if it's working, great, keep doing what's working.
All of that is just so good. I love that we've touched on the different industries, different types of businesses, different ways that you can have a better sales pitch or just like get the sale. And again, back to verbiage within emails, I think nonverbal things that make you more confident in a Loom video or a sales call is to smile, take pauses, talk in a lower voice. Like these are like psychological things that make you appear more confident. Instead of filling the space with or like, just take a breath, take a pause, talk slow. I'm horrible at talking slow, but I try to when I'm trying to make sure that my confidence comes across. And you're really good at that. You take pauses all the time.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't taken many today because this topic gets me so fired up. But you're right. On a sales call, you've got to know when to pause and just let them talk. They will spill in. If you could get someone onto the sales call, they'll spill information. They will. But if you ask the right questions,
Yes. Ask the right questions.
that's the input. You can't just sit there and not say anything. Like you have to guide the conversation and be in charge of it by asking them the right questions. When someone gets on a call with me, I'll be like, so tell me what made you want to book this call. And they'll tell me about why they want to start a business. And maybe they'll give me a little insight into like the pain of their life. And I'll be like, so what's so bad about your current job? And then they'll be like, well, it's just long hours and everyone in the office sucks and I'm tired of microwave lunches. And I'll be like, I understand. I used to eat those microwave lunches and work in an office where people didn't understand me too. And I'll say, so why do you think building a business would help you? And I'm getting them to like explain all of the things that I already know. So I'm gauging them to be like, is this someone I even want to make an offer to? Like if they're giving me nothing and it's like pulling teeth talking to this person, is that someone I'm going to want to work with and invite into my society that now everyone else in my community has to deal with? No.
That is huge too, especially if it's not like a product that you're just going to be selling. If it's something that more has community or some type of one-on-one or anything, I'm very specific about who I allow into my master program, because I want to make sure not only will they get a good return on their investment, but like, are they a good fit? Are they the right type of person? And it's not to be exclusive in a mean way, but it's more so to protect both of us. And I think that that's important, but that also makes people feel like, oh, this is like exclusive. I want to be a part of it.
It's true. And it goes the same when you're working with a brand and they want you to post about their product. Be picky, grill them a little bit and be like, so like get them on a call. I love getting brands on a call before I work with them. I want to know the people behind this before I start telling everyone to buy this product. Because if they're not good people and it's not a great product either, I don't want my face associated with them. I don't want their product. but I'll grill them a little bit and be like, so why do you think this product would be a good fit for my audience? And if they don't know the answer to that question, I'll be like, okay, so they didn't really do their homework on me. They're probably just looking at me like a commodity, like I'm just some creator that they're chatting with. And I know if I want this product on my page, I'm going to have to pitch myself harder. Versus if they knew the answer to that question, they're like, well, we see you're like a life and a business coach, and I'm sure all of your people have questions about taxes. So, we think FreshBooks would be great for you. And I'll be like, okay, they did their homework and I like that. And now I feel good about this. And I'm like, well, actually, I have been using FreshBooks for 6 months now. So I think you're right. I've been really enjoying it. And I do think my audience would resonate. And I will guide the conversation and ask them questions. I'll be like, so have you worked with other influencers before? If I'm talking to someone about my startup society, I'll be like, so have you ever joined a mentorship or a community before? And just get to know their situation so that you can steer the ship.
Yeah, it's true. And I will say, I don't get on a lot of calls with brands unless it's more of a long term brand deal or it's a bigger package option or if they want like any additional services. So I close majority, I would say 98% of my brand deals and everything because I have a video at the top of my portfolio where I'm introducing myself, talking about what I do. I have B roll of content I've created. So they really get a good feel for me without needing that call. And a lot of these people are trying to do lower collaborations. They're trying to get more quantity than quality. And I'm open to that, especially if it's like a one-time thing. So I do want to tell anybody listening, like you don't have to get on a call if it's like UGC or content creation or influencer partnerships. But a lot of times it's worth it if they're going to be investing a lot more money in you than just like a one-time brand deal.
I agree completely. You don't even have to get on calls to sell your high ticket mentorship. It helps a lot, but you got to play to your strengths, like we said before. If your strength is email, like, I mean, Michelle, you write incredible emails. Things are bolded, underlined, font changes, emojis, like in the right places. Like, you just write great emails. And like me, like, get me on a sales call. Like, this is just how we roll. Like, my emails, they aren't that pretty. They'll have what they need to have and probably literally nothing extra at all. So you got to play to your strengths, and you've got to be good at both of these things for one. But if you're better at one than the other, lean into it.
It's true. And also having a social media presence, people will get to know you if you're posting and you're in the videos. That's just another way to build trust where you might not need a sales call because you're essentially selling already just by showing up online and like talking about what you do or just being yourself and showing people you're a real human. You're not just like some big CEO that is just off on vacation. No, you're like part of the business. You own the business. You care about the business. This is what your face looks like. This is your personality. And that's just another way to kind of break that barrier and enforce more trust in the beginning.
It's true. You're absolutely right about that. Building that trust is very important with all of your prospects or brands or whoever it is you're working with. I've got one final sales tip, and that's, let's say your goal is to charge $500 for your service. That's how much money you want to make for your service. And someone reaches out to you and they want to know your rates, right? Maybe it's FreshBooks again. I love FreshBooks. Maybe FreshBooks reaches out to me and they're like, "Hey, we want a piece of content. Like, what are your rates?" I'm not just going to respond and say my rates are $500. I'll tell them, because my rates change based on who I'm talking to and what I think they could pay, what they're worth, what I'm worth. But in that case, if my goal is to get $500 per video, I'll tell them like, hey, look, my usual rate for something like this is probably about $1,000, maybe even a little bit more. But I'm really excited about this. I've been using FreshBooks for 7 months, so much better and cheaper than whoever books. And I'd be willing to throw in a free piece of content. So now they're getting two pieces of content for $500 each. I'm getting my rate that I wanted, which was 500 per post, and they feel like they're getting a deal, and everybody wins in that scenario. Buy one, get one is great. Like the yoga studio I teach at, they used to do first class free. And you know what that would do? That would get people to come take one class, and that's it. Then they started doing first class $20, second class free. This is great because it's essentially two at bats. Same with FreshBooks. Like it's two tries to wow your potential client. You're going to be so much more likely to keep them. The first time I took a yoga class, it was miserable and I hated it. The second time I took one, the teacher was better. I knew what to expect. I had a great time. Kept me as a long-term client. My yoga studio, they've done their math and their analysis on this, and it just leads to more long-term clients. So buy one get one free. It sounds so obvious, right? But it's more than just a sale. It's a way to get another at bat to wow your potential customer and keep them for a longer time.
Great tip. I think we've even talked about that in a previous podcast episode too.
I wouldn't be surprised because I could just talk about sales for so long. It's just a beautiful thing. If you can get good at sales, like if I lost my business today, all of my businesses, I don't know, I would just start a new one. I have so much I could share with the world, and I know how to sell, and I know how to help other people, and I know how to inspire and motivate and do all the things I need to do. I just need to think of a new company name, which would be the challenge.
Which I can always help with, or Chat GPT can help with.
It's true. It's true. All right. Anything else to add, Michelle?
No, I would just say that it's going to feel uncomfortable when you're starting out. No matter what you're starting, if something's new, it's not familiar, it's going to be uncomfortable. But you just have to keep doing it, repetition, and just keep listening to Nick because he's obviously the king of all of this. And I just want to encourage everybody with that. Like we started by not being confident too. So it's okay to feel that way. It's normal. If you're confident and you don't know what you're doing, maybe you're a little cocky.
It's true. Your confidence will come from your testimonials. So have good faith, do the right thing for your clients, go above and beyond. They'll give you the testimonials that give you the confidence. And now, boom, you've got evidence for your future prospects. So, if you're looking for more ways to monetize your creativity and find more freedom in your life, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Drop a review for us too. If this stuff is helping you, tell us about it so we know to keep making that same good content. Also, get in touch with us. Tell us who you want us to bring on, what you want us to talk about next. Tell us anything, good feedback or bad. Reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok at Get Ahead with Nick. Reach out to Michelle on Instagram and TikTok at MichelleJH. Michelle with two L's, four E's, Michelle JH. Love you all. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.